Hi friends, I'm Reverend Michelle Manuel, and you are joining us for our daily video devotional, In It Together, where we on the pastoral staff wanted to make sure we knew it, we were in it together. We started this at the beginning of our quarantine times, and now that we are slowly creeping out of it, we still want to bring you some daily inspiration, some daily hope, and I'm so glad you're joining us, especially if you're finding us for the first time. Today, I want to talk a little bit about your internal landscape. That kind of sounds like a weird term, right? Internal landscape. I mean, you can call it the condition of your heart, the headspace you're in. I like to call it internal landscape. Sounds kind of fancy to me. But this is something that is important in the life of the Christian. In fact, it's important in the daily life and the daily rhythms of the Christian. And so we join a long tradition and a rich heritage of folks who engaged in practices of prayer that involved self-examination. And when you venture into this scary terrain of your internal landscape, you begin to examine yourself. You examine the condition of your heart. You examine your own behaviors that happened throughout the day. You examined your emotions. You examined your thoughts. But this is not a time to engage in what they call navel gazing. It's not just a time to think about oneself to think about oneself. The goal in this is to bring ourselves into the presence of the Holy Spirit. And so, engaging in the practice of self-examination, we don't go it alone. You can do this together. The recovery community, AA rooms, and 12-step groups, they practice examine together. The 10th step is all about that practice of daily examination, where you look at yourself in the light of day. What were things that I did well today? What needs a little help? But this is not a time to punish yourself. This is not a time to engage in self-discipline in the negative sense. This is a time to take an honest inventory. What went well? What was a growth point? And maybe looking at that growth point from a lot of different angles would be even more helpful, especially if those pressure points or those growth points continue to come up and end up being a pattern over time. But this is simply one spiritual discipline in which we can engage. And we don't do spiritual disciplines alone. I have a history of being hard on myself, and I don't think I'm alone in that. I think that we all grow up in a culture that values hard work, and rightfully so. We should be working hard. God created us to work. But sometimes in that desire, that innocent desire to be a hard worker, to accomplish goals, our internal allegiance can shift just slightly. And so instead of working hard because that's the task to which God has called us, we might be working hard just to work hard because it looks good, because others will think well of me. I'm going to work hard because I'm going to go out and get what I want. I'm going to work hard because that's what you do as a grown-up. All of these things, all of these values, it's just a slight internal shift of allegiance from God and God's guidance to self and self-guidance. And so when we talk about internal landscape, we're talking about who is our heart aligned with? Whose will do we choose to submit to every day? This is a question that you might consider asking yourself every morning. But do it with the Holy Spirit. Don't go it alone. Because if you're like me, a hard worker, and you can venture into getting harsh and rigid with yourself, then self-examination or looking at the condition of your heart will only be another small room in which you're very mean to yourself. Instead, I've learned with the wonderful teachings of spiritual giants in my life, I've learned to go about this examination process in the presence of the Holy Spirit. I don't have to beat myself up. I don't have to keep myself under my thumb to make sure I'm staying within the lines and I'm doing things right. I trust the Holy Spirit. When I welcome the Holy Spirit into my life, when I confess that Jesus is the Lord of my life, then I am invited into a deeper place of trusting that God will guide me, that the Holy Spirit will bring conviction if I tune my ear and I dare to listen. So does life feel big right now? Does it feel overwhelming? Does it feel like you can't get your head above water, or you have something heavy on your chest? Take a moment. Sit before the Holy Spirit. Sit in the presence of the one who created you good, who loves you deeply, who knows what's best for you. And do the examination process. Lord, am I aligned with your will? Lord, am I aligned with your will of love? Am I doing what you're calling me to today and in this moment? Lord, show me. And I trust, Lord, I trust you so much that I'm not going to judge myself. I'm not going to be harsh and rigid. I'm not going to be constantly talking ugly to myself or disciplining myself. But Lord, I'm going to trust that if doors need to close, you're going to close them. And if I step out of bounds, I'm going to feel it or I'm going to hear it. A deeper place of trust with the Holy Spirit. That's what's needed when we enter this practice of self-examination. Friends, I want to bless you. Look at yourself in the light of day. Enter this practice. Join with the rich heritage of those who've come before us in this practice of examination. Because this is where we take ourselves to the Lord and we are healed, we are sanctified, we are given salvation in the here and now from those internal things which ail us most. I pray that you would be blessed, that you would dare to look at yourself in the light of day and bring yourself before the Lord. Friends, I'd be happy to talk more about this if you want to email me and talk about the 10th step, 12-step recovery, self-examination, the guidance of the Holy Spirit. I am but another pilgrim on the journey, but this is where life and life abundant is. This is where some of the seeds of the King get planted. So I pray that they spring forth in your life. And I pray these things for you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God bless you.